Hey, we are happy to be here today. Our class for tonight, and we're so excited for everybody that's here. It's all about the ooh la la. And you know what? I think that that's very fitting for this time of year. We've got lots going on, but we've got an interesting taste or twist on this for tonight. And so I'm super excited to be here with y'all. My name is Jared Jarvis. I'm here tonight with Ronai Brumett and Leanne Mason, who also says Ronai Brumett.
I will change
And
that.
yeah, and we will be more than happy to be able to go through this. But for those of you that are watching this maybe later, the best stuff happens after the class is done. So be sure to stick around if you're here with us live because you will not want to miss that part. So Ronay, take it away.
So I am so excited. I love our Ooh La La class. I will tell you, we are not doctors. We cannot diagnose or treat. We're not uh, psychologists. We are educators here to help you understand how to use essential oils and many other modalities that we have studied. And the first thing that I want to talk about today in our Ooh La La class, because, Valentine's Day is coming up and you can't have ooh la la if you do not ooh la like each other. All right. So we're going to talk about ways that we can do that. And intimacy is really important to understand. It is more than one thing. It is not just physical intimacy. There's emotional intimacy, which is feeling safe, feeling understood, feeling valued. There is intellectual intimacy, which is sharing ideas and conversations and curiosity. There is spiritual intimacy, which is where you are aligned with your values, your purpose, your faith. And there's playful intimacy. This is where it's really healthy to be joking with each other, to be happy and uh, having fun. And then there's also physical intimacy, which is touch, closeness, and sexual connection, which, these are all super, super important things. All right. So what I want to talk about today is how we can keep those things going. It is important to touch on all of those things. And we know that if you are stressed out, a lot of those things are not helpful or not even possible, actually. Because stress, when your nervous system feels overwhelmed, it's unsafe to connect with people a lot of times. So, connection hormones show up when we laugh together, when we hug or cuddle, when we breathe slowly, when we make eye contact. So, making sure you're slowing down and having those moments together. One of the things my husband understood very quickly when we had little children is he would come home and here I've had children hanging off of me all day. And rather than being like, hey, he would obviously give me a hug and a kiss, but then he would look for ways to help. And so he would take the kids or he would do laundry or dishes and things like that. So those types of gifts make it amazing for when you're trying to connect with each other. So this is where you start to like each other a little bit better when you have those connections. And this is those daily habits. It's not just that grand gesture of, hey, it's Valentine's Day. Here's your chocolates. Here's your wine. Here's your whatever. Bam chicka wow wow, right? No, we are making sure that we're having that connection daily. We're having those conversations. Those small acts of kindness do more for you for connecting than any grand gesture or gift is ever able to do. So, sorry, I'm checking on my notes. Gratitude is also like the number one relationship reset button. When you feel appreciated, then it's so much easier to have that connection, that feeling close, right? Um, so one of the things that you can do is start with that, what I really appreciate about you is dot, dot, dot. And if you're doing that on the daily, that will do much more than, oh, love you too. Like, obviously, it's important to say I love you, but to show that you love someone or to show that you appreciate them, really, really important. There's actually a really great book by Dr. Egerich's, and it's called Love and Respect in Marriage. And he's been able to prove that men cannot show love unless they feel respected, and women cannot give respect unless they feel loved. This is where things get kind of hairy, right? But if you are able to do those small things every single day to show that you respect or you love someone, it's or appreciate them, it helps you get so much closer um relationally, like all of the things. Now, there are a lot of essential oils that can help you during this process because you know us, we like to talk about our essential oils. And when we talk about different things, you know, I'm a citrus girl. I love the citrus oils. They are very uplifting. They are great for stress management. So things like bergamot and grapefruit are great for confidence. Magnolia is also, again, that's a floral. I'm not a huge floral person, but for those floral people out there, magnolia is amazing for self-confidence. For stress and hormone, there's clary sage, geranium, lavender, adaptive. Adaptive is our #1 most tested essential oil blend that helps with all things stress related. And for sensuality, there are a few things that we really like. Ylang-ylang, jasmine, sandalwood, neroli. I will tell you, our #1 tip that we share in this class is the Beautiful Body Mist. The Beautiful Body Mist makes an amazing massage oil, and it helps to move things along. Is that a gentle way of saying that?
So I brought my neck, right? The thing I love about the Beautiful Body Mist, Beautiful is my go-to scent. And it only comes now. It was a special and it only comes in the body mist. This body mist is, oh, this is going to show very well. Does it show? It is silky smooth. It moves very nicely. It stays moist. And it then also smells very, very nice. I'm going to, because you know me, go to the book. And Beautiful, I should have had this body mark or bookmarked, is the oil of self-respect. So it's the blend of self-respect, and it creates an uplifting mood and encourages confidence. Well, when you are trying to rekindle or kindle things with your significant other, isn't that what you want? Is self-respect and confidence. So, and the Mr. sprays no matter which way it's tipped. So hopeful.
It is my favorite tip for this class. Like it's the one. If you walk away from nothing else, then that's the one. Now,
okay, I want to go back to one thing before we go too far about scents. You don't just want to think about those scents that you like.
True.
If you are trying to work with your significant other, you don't want the scents that are really good for you, but he's like, oh, clary sage supports stress and hormones, but on me, it smells like moldy green beans. So that would not be a scent that my husband would be like, oh, baby. So consider using those scents earlier in the day so they're not so potent on you, and using them maybe on your feet so that not necessarily on the stress points or not the stress points, the pulse points. One of my favorite ones for that, when you do want to get warm and cozy, is the Madagascar vanilla.
Yes.
I have yet to find anyone who it doesn't smell good on. It doesn't always smell like vanilla, smells good on, and is not then offensive to the significant other.
I forgot to add vanilla into my blog. Also, cinnamon. Cinnamon is one of those amazing oils. First off, it's the oil of sexual harmony. So it helps with warming things up, like with each other, but also on the skin. It is a hot oil, so you have to be careful. Use it with a carrier oil. Cinnamon and the vanilla together, absolutely phenomenal. And then the vanilla with wild orange or tangerine. Now, usually in this class, we will tell you no eyes, nose, or sensitive bits. There are some oils that are totally okay on the sensitive bits and can actually enhance your O experience. Wild orange and tangerine are two of those. The cinnamon, again, can get a little spicy, so you got to be prepared with a carrier oil like coconut oil that is going to help in case things get a little too hot, if you know what I'm saying.
And you want to use good quality carrier oils. If you do not know, some carrier oils can create an environment for yeast infections and other things like that. So be aware of that. Peppermint is also one of those oils that can spice things up, but you're going to want a carrier oil.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't put it in my blog, but this is why you come to class. You can add, if you are into maybe some whipped cream type of play, never down below for ladies. I'm just saying that can cause that environment that can cause some yeast infections. But let's say you're interested in that. Peppermint, wild orange, tangerine, cinnamon, all of those blend really nicely if you're going to make some whipped cream and strawberries, right? For just eating. That's what are you doing with it? I don't want to know. But I do want to go back to emotional intimacy for a little bit because I jumped ahead with we've got oils that are great for helping emotionally. Now, emotional intimacy is a real thing, and it's really important because this is where you get to be vulnerable with your partner. But it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It's just being real and raw and knowing that you're in a safe place, right? So something I've been feeling lately is, or something I need to talk about right now is, those are really great starters, but this is not therapy. It's just connecting with your partner. Falling in love isn't magic. It's a bonding response fueled by curiosity, novelty, attention, and responsiveness. But when a relationship feels stale, it means those ingredients have gone missing. This is when you need to get back to where you started. Like, you guys met and fell in love for a reason. What was it that you were doing? It happens all the time. You meet, you fall in love, married, you have kids, and then all of a sudden it's all about the kids. You need to go back to some of those activities or find new activities or new conversations and get to playful touch. My husband and I, we hold hands everywhere we go. And we've had people comment on it. They're like, we never see you not holding hands. Because if we're sitting next to each other, if we're driving in the car, if we're walking, we are always holding hands. And that's just, there's actually been some science about holding hands. And I wish I would have dropped that in here, but we can find that information if you're interested.
Yeah, I want to jump in here and talk about the importance, especially for anyone who has been through sexual trauma or an abusive relationship. The emotional intimacy is super important to create that safety, and holding hands, those sitting next to each other, being close is important for that safety factor. And one of the things I love is my husband always told me that no matter where we are, my place is next to him. And as we had children, anytime our children wanted to be in between us, he would say, nope, that's your mom's spot. You can be on my side or you can be on mom's side. Now, I will tell you, there are exceptions to that because we had 3 children. And so sometimes you have to make those exceptions. But setting healthy expectations and boundaries in your marriage then makes it so that you are both in the same trajectory moving forward. And so too often that excitement and that playfulness is going to wear off as the busyness of life happens. You have to create time for the connection in all the other places. But what happens is the only place we often end up trying to focus on once we've been in a marriage is keeping the physical intimacy there. And so keep that in mind. And as we were redoing this class, I went more sciencey again. So we'll get back to that in a little bit. But that the whole I wish I would have grabbed that stat too. I didn't even think about the stats on holding hands. And it's that closeness. This is a safety bond. You don't hold hands with someone you don't feel safe with.
That is very, very true. All right. So to reiterate, attention is attractive. So when you are paying attention to your partner or your partner is paying attention to you, this is a connection and it's one of the most beautiful things you can do. I love having a sway list. So let me tell you what a sway list is and what you do with a sway list. So a sway list is your playlist that you're going to sway to. We are out of sync. Like we go through the day and we're doing different things. We come back together and we're trying to sync back up. Now they've taken where they have the clocks with the pendulum, and if they put it on a board that rocks, they can have they're all going, but within 2 minutes of being on that board, all of a sudden those pendulums are swinging together. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a sway list, and you come together and you're literally just going to sway. It's like it. We always called it the deacon shuffle when you're 12 years old and you're at a dance and you just kind of like do this thing. This is no talking, no fixing anything, no pressure. You can talk if you want to, but literally it's just to come together heart to heart and to just have those 2 minutes of syncing back together. You can do it for longer, you can do it more than once a day, but at least once a day coming together and just having that time is amazing.
So in your sway time, it's also important to have eye contact. Eye contact with your spouse is super important, or your partner. I revert to spouse because I've been married for 26 years. Having that eye contact, one of the things I learned during counseling sessions was the need for silent eye connection to just reconnect mind, body, and spirit.
That's also one of the things when you are coming together physically is having that eye contact. And another one is hand on hearts, like your hand on their heart, their hand on your heart, and just eye contact for a few moments or minutes, even just to just sit there and to connect before you connect. Or when you're finished, like those are things that help it be more than just physical. It brings it back to that emotional bonding. Other things that are really important is communication. You need to communicate your wants and needs. Leanne said it also in setting healthy boundaries, right? And that can be in any one of those things that I talked about with our intimacy, whether it's emotional, intellectual, spiritual, playful, or physical. Making sure that you have clear communication and clear boundaries, super, super important. All right, Leanne, do you want to bring some of the science back in here?
Okay. So we already talked about a little bit about remembering why you fell in love. It's important to then actually talk about it with each other. Talking about those special memories continues to bring that bond, right? Early romantic love is, like Ronai said, and I'm like, we might repeat each other a little bit, but different spin, right? Is marked by curiosity, excitement, and self-discovery and emotional closeness. And as things go on, we get busy and we forget to focus on that emotional closeness. So one of the things that we can do is rekindle the spark and keep the romance alive. Dating is super important. Now, dating doesn't have to be expensive. I'm going to grab my link really quick and drop it in the chat for you for the handouts. I had the greatest example for my parents of sometimes they would go on date nights to the car wash. And back then, the car wash was my mom would sit there and feed the coins into the car wash while my dad was using the sprayer in the open bay car washes. And they would talk, and my dad would tell stories of how they would often, prior to us kids, end up in water fights. As they had kids, they didn't have the opportunity to spend so much time doing the car washes, but they would still go to the car wash together and talk and have that time together. Then they would maybe go get an ice cream and share. So very inexpensive, doing something that needed to be done and also getting that connection time. So your date nights and rekindling does not have to take a lot of money. It can be a picnic. One of my favorite dates that my husband and I went on was we did a progressive date night. Now, what we did is we each wrote down some places that were our favorites for appetizers, our favorite drink places, our favorite main course, and our favorite dessert. And so each time we would reach into the bag and see, okay, we're going here for drinks. Okay, we're going here for appetizers. We picked up all of the food and we found a little park and ate our progressive dinner. It was so much fun. And we kind of giggled because it didn't really go together. But because we had each put in our favorite thing from different restaurants, then we also got to bring back in the memories from when we experienced those foods. It gives conversation. Jared, I know that you and Charlisa do lots of date nights, so I want you to share some of the date nights you do to rekindle.
Absolutely. So I love getting to date my wife, and that has been an ongoing and continual thing. And we do have at least a weekly date night, if not more often, where we take those opportunities to connect. And holding hands is so important. We dance together in the kitchen, and sometimes that's not even to music. I mean, that's just us being together and dancing, and sometimes that dancing extends to other places too, and all kinds of fun ensues, and there's often giggling and very often groans from kids, and all kinds of things that go along with that. We find opportunities to connect, and one thing that Shara and I have done really well is make sure that we're aware of each other's love languages and the ways that we connect to each other that are most important for the other person, not necessarily for us. It's those acts of service, the opportunities that we have to give, that it's not just about us, that we're focused on another person and what matters to them, that tends to bring us closer together. Because I'm choosing to see things a little bit more from her perspective. And one of the things that I found, and I found this years ago, if I was having a difficult conversation with Shar, and we've had some things that we had to work through, and sometimes there were emotional things about stuff that we ourselves were going through when I was going through my cancer. And or times that I wanted to be able to understand better her perspectives on different things. It was amazing what the act of being close and rotating, not just swaying, but actually turning, that physical turn. By the time I got to the place that she was when we started, I could see things better from her perspective because we had changed positions in that way. And that was a huge thing for us. But I also look at it that, I look to recreate those hormone cascades. We talk about the cascades that happen when we use essential oils, and you breathe that in, and it creates that whole limbic effect through your body, and it's this cascading effect. Well, the process of love is very much an emotional cascade of hormones. And so finding ways that we can support that has always been a big thing for us. And so whether it's a kiss, whether it's, lightly rubbing, Char touches my arm or plays with my hair. And there's little things that we do that aren't all about maybe sex or about some sort of like physical intimacy besides just being together and close and having connection. And it's funny, we've got friends that look at us and say, you know what, uh, as soon as bedtime comes, they kiss and then they roll over to opposite sides of the bed. And frankly, that's not Char and I. We're close all night long. But we have found that that's because that's our language. That's how we connect with each other. And everybody is unique. Everybody is different, and we celebrate and embrace those differences. So if you can find what works for you, what's going to bring that emotional cascade of those love hormones, of whatever that is, that's going to bring you closer together, I say support it. And just like what we do with oils, I anchor that back with different things. If I'm studying for a test, you better believe I've got a mint on hand that helps support and anchor what I'm studying. Well, emotionally in my relationship, I've found that oils help anchor and support that relationship as well. And so I definitely am a huge fan of finding all of those ways that we can connect.
I love that. And I know you're a huge advocate for physical intimacy through essential oils, through AromaTouch hand technique and AromaTouch. And physical intimacy does not always mean sex. So I love that you brought that out. It's the gentle touching, it's the playing with each other's hair. And human beings need connection. We need physical intimacy with our children in a healthy way. And that is physical touch, hugs, being close to them, being okay, being in your personal space. We have gotten so disconnected from human touch that we need that in our society. Hugs from friends, touch that way.
I've also found that one of the most important keys to making that connection work is putting this down. If I am just on my phone and connecting here, I'm not connecting to her and or connecting to the people I'm with. And so I put my phone down. And so, I mean, very often people will reach out to me and they're like, hey, you didn't respond in 2 minutes, and guess what? I'm going to respond, but it's going to be when that time is right. And I'm going to, if I'm in that moment with somebody, I'm connecting with them wherever that is. And when I get done with that, I'll pick up my phone, I'll figure out what I need to respond to. But find chances to put this away.
Perfect. I love that. One of the other keys is, and I didn't, this is stuff that came up after I wrote my blog, is today in one of my classes, I was studying proper listening and feedback. So in communication, we need to listen to be able to restate and ask clarifying questions, not to try and fix, but to collaborate. And so we need to be able to feel confident in our communication with one another. It is key that we have open communication. And if you or your spouse are struggling with that open communication, start at something simple. One of the things that they have shown in many studies is gratitude over attitude is a foundation for connection. In one of the studies, a longitudinal research study showed that gratitude motivates reciprocal maintenance behaviors. Feeling appreciated by a partner increases one's responsiveness to the partner's needs, which then turns around and nourishes the stability of the relationship. So, what does that mean? It means the first place to start is, instead of finding fault, find gratitude. What are you grateful for in your relationship? And then after you talk about what you're grateful for, hey, I would really like to talk about an area that I'm struggling with. And then have that be the conversation. Come from a place of gratitude instead of attitude, instead of, why don't you ever, right? Hey, I am so grateful that you're doing the dishes. It maybe bugs me that you do it this way, but talking about it openly and then giving feedback. Wow, that really hurt when you said you don't like the way I do the dishes, right? But being then okay with that feedback. If you truly love this person, why wouldn't you want the best, right? So I love to getting back to that. Now, one of the other scientific perspective is reframing gently. So be kind, be aware of the choices you're making, and it's okay to reframe things. So if you mess up, apologize and then reframe. So let's go back into some of the oils for emotional trust and support, because for me, I was a survivor of domestic violence. And so my husband now had some barriers to overcome. And when we started, we didn't have essential oils, but we started emotional trust and safety with open, honest communication and having safe words for even conversations. So if it's getting into a place of you're feeling unsafe and you're having those emotional reactions, letting your spouse know ahead of time, hey, I need a timeout, is a way to help build trust and emotional support and safety. Without that safety and trust, you can't have the physical intimacy. Lavender is one of the most researched oils on helping relax and calm. I love it in a diffuser before bed or before you have those meaningful or maybe stressful conversations. Balance is the grounding blend, can help with those transitional times and bring stability to difficult conversations or bring emotional regulation for those of us who may be more chaotic, like myself. Frankincense is also associated with mindfulness and reflective. So again, during intense times, frankincense can bring more of a connection and more of a prayerful, meditative, reflective state. Birch is the oil of connection. It brings renewal, resilience, and emotional release. Super great for those trust and safety.
Speaking of safety, one of the best safety words that I ever heard was meatloaf. Because I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
I love that. Always having a safe word that is not common in your vocabulary for that time, right? So I love meatloaf is a perfect example of that. My husband has always taught our children, no matter what relationship you are in, the word no Or we use the word whistle. When the ref blows the whistle, the play is dead and everything stops until all players are ready to start again. And it's okay if it never starts again. So we say whistle. So I love meatloaf. Whistle is great. Ronai talked about the oils already for emotional connection. Bergamot, wild orange, rose. Now, rose is one of those intense ones, but it's one of the highest vibrating oils on the planet and can bring that emotional openness, and also is associated with compassion and nurturing feelings of love, tenderness, and emotional connection, as well as vulnerability, helping with those that are feeling vulnerable. Supporting sexual intimacy is, I just looked at the message. My massage therapist uses the word pickle as the safe word. Again, not typical for a conversation, right? So I love that. I love when you guys chime in. Thank you for that. Supporting intimacy and closeness, ylang ylang. Sandalwood. When you go to the wood oils for men, seem to go more for the woodsy stuff. Sandalwood, cedarwood, and those kinds of things can be calming and grounding. So some ways to intentionally create these connection rituals is diffusing during your weekly check-ins. You should be having at least weekly check-ins, if not daily. Wearing them as perfume, putting them in diffusers before going to bed, using aromatherapy to do breath work. So there's so much science between aromatherapy and emotional connection, regardless if it's in an intimate situation or not. So we have given you a lot of information about all of the other pieces of connection. And now Ronai's favorite part, going to the ooh la la. Once you have restored all the emotional connection, how you get to spice up some of that physical connection. Ronai.
Again, my favorite is going to be the Beautiful Body Mist. Coconut oil, massage, like touch and massage, and just like having that physical touch first, but then playing with oils, guys. Now, I will tell you, I'll say this again, wild orange and tangerine on your bits help to intensify your if you know what I'm saying. Can also extend ooh, I had them. We have some recipes that we put in to the blog, and I of course put my blog down because there is some ecstasy extenders. This book, guys, this book is amazing, right? And if you go to the area on intimacy, there are some really fun recipes.
Okay, I'm going to drop your blog in the chat again for everybody.
Okay, I thought, like, I read through most of the blog and somehow I missed it. That's why.
No, you didn't give them to me to put in the blog.
What? We forgot.
We forgot.
We will fix this because these are things that need to be in the blog. Okay. One of my favorites is this, like I said, there's an intimacy. There we go. Okay, first off, there's Activate Her Aphrodite. And it is 4 drops ylang-ylang, 2 drops clary sage, 2 drops geranium, 2 drops patchouli, 2 drops sandalwood, 1 drop bergamot, 1 drop vanilla. This is one that you will never find on me.
Because that doesn't sound like a you blend.
No, that's why I'm reading it straight out here. But for somebody else who likes patchouli and or geranium, this is going to be one of those. The way that they've blended these is really good. It's just not a blend for me, but I will tell you it's the, where did it go? There's the edible massage and lubricating blend, which is you melt half a cup of organic coconut oil, 2 tablespoons raw honey in a jar or bowl and place over hot water. Or yes, a bowl placed over hot water. I was like, you're not putting hot water in this. Then you're going to add 2 drops cinnamon, 4 drops wild orange, and stir. So now you've got this coconut oil, raw honey, cinnamon, and wild orange. So for an edible massage blend, it's going to be a little sweet, a little spicy, can spice things up. Then there was the ecstasy extender. Here it is. 1 to 2 drops each of geranium, cinnamon bark, ginger, pink pepper, and peppermint in a 2-ounce glass bottle with a dropper top. Fill the remaining with fractionated coconut oil used to support reaching and prolonging climax. Use 10 to 15 drops at a time and massage lightly on the genitals. This is what it says right in the book here. And there are fun things that you can do. And that's why normally we say no eyes, nose, or sensitive bits, but some of these can be fun. Jared, I know you've got some too. I apologize. I gotta let the dogs back in.
Okay, so where to start? I will just say for me, first off, the beautiful body mist is absolutely amazing. It's not just for the ladies. It is a wonderful blend that is definitely has its place on the bedside table, and we very much enjoy that. But I am also a big fan and proponent of making sure that certain things are operating optimally, and the Madagascar vanilla is one of those oils that has been shown to be able to have some direct correlation in instances where, I'm about to turn 50 in a week. And, I will be real honest. A lot of men my age start to get to that point that they need a little bit of extra support. And vanilla is one of those things that helps to boost T levels. And so it's pretty amazing how the body responds and reacts and utilizes that. And you know what? We look at, yes, Ronai? I know
Not
you.
just not just for men. Women also need a healthy level of tea because that helps support our libido in being like, yes, let's do this thing. So that vanilla on the wrists as a like perfume, but also helping support you having optimal tea levels for women.
Absolutely. And the other thing I'm going to say, and make sure if you're going to use some of these oils intimately, that you are prepared with coconut oil, uh, just in case things get a little bit too spicy. That's going to be probably one of my biggest hints, especially if you're starting to try some of these and wanting to explore and experiment a little bit. Make sure that you have a way to be able to address that in a safe way to make sure it's safe for you and your partner.
Ronay, did you find any of your others that you wanted to share?
Um, so there is the obviously you can do all sorts of stuff with bath oils and different things like that, but this one sounded kind of good and I haven't tried it yet. I have tried several of the others, not the Activate Her Effort ID because again, not my thing, but the Exotic Cinnamon Love Balm. So it is 2.5 tablespoons of a carrier oil, 1 tablespoon cocoa butter, 1.5 teaspoons vegetable glycerin, 1 teaspoon beeswax, and 6 drops of cinnamon bark. So this is like making like a little balm, and that could be a little fun and spicy, and it gets a little tingly on the lips when you do stuff like that. When you have something tingly on the lips, it will tingle in other places as well. Just saying. But the most important thing is find something that you both like. that Leanne is correct. It can't just be all about one or the other. It's got to be that coming together. Things that are important to remember also is like I'm a huge proponent of using past tense for my neck, but my husband doesn't love the smell of it. So if I want to get intimate, I'm not going to be using past tense during the day. So if I have tension through here, I will use something like frankincense and copaiba, or maybe some aroma touch, something that he's not like, ugh, right? So we want to make sure that we are helping each other out that way.
Exactly. So we have thrown a lot of information at you, but the biggest takeaway is find what works, what brings you closer together. And I think it was Jared that said those daily habits, right? Those daily habits of intimacy. Maybe try and find a different way, whether it's physical, emotional. Ronai, I forgot your whole list that you had. You had a whole list of the different intimacies, but find a different one every day and just start practicing and see what that does.
Yes.
You've got time to spark that relationship up again before Valentine's Day. And paying attention to the little things. One of the things that my husband did this year, super excited about. We've been talking about it for years. I love bull riding. I love watching it. So for this year, we are going to the rodeo. And it's this week because that's when the rodeo is here. So it doesn't have to be on February 14th because that's the day the world says. Choose what works for you. We also, once we had kids, found that trying to go on date night on February 14th was just too crazy. So find days that make it special for you. Celebrate your love, regardless of the day on the calendar.
Also, the flowers and the chocolates and everything go half price the day after. So, like, my husband and I always laugh because we'll look at dates coming up and be like, do you want anything for that? And we've agreed, you know what? No, every day we celebrate our love. It's not just on a specific day. Every day we celebrate each other. It's not just on birthdays or Christmas. It's celebrating each other all the time so that you're special all the time.
Okay, that brought up something kind of fun too that you can do as a date night, you guys. It is you go shopping together and you take pictures of things of, if I had $1 million, I would buy you. And you just get playful and you take pictures of things, and then you come back together and you share, this is what I bought you. And you just play with that. Make it fun. Don't be so serious all the time. There's enough seriousness in the world. Jared, any final thoughts?
You know, Shar and I laugh a lot. I mean, a lot together. And she has always been really good for me to not take myself too seriously. And I appreciate that, you know, she brings out that fun, playful side of me. Find people that and this is for all the relationships in our lives that bring out the best in us, bring out those happy moments, bring out the things that build us and create joy and celebration. And really, I mean, those are the relationships that we want to celebrate. Those are the relationships and times that it does become effortless because you've done the work to create the proper environment for it to be effortless. Relationships are not effortless. It takes work, but when you're doing it and doing it right, it's so much easier. And I love that, you know, we create what it is that we want, you know, every day. And it's an ongoing process that we create those things that we are craving, that we're wanting. And don't forget that relationship is a reflection of you. And, you know, you will get to be part of that relationship. It's not just always about the other person. It's not just always about you. It's a joint thing that you get to create together.
I love that. So if you don't know how to get a hold of essential oils, contact one of us, message us. You can find us on the AromaVibe page. And it's the AromaVibe. And we're going to be posting this replay on YouTube, on Ronai's YouTube channel, sharing it on our social medias. And again, we're always here and hope that you found something that's beneficial for you today. We're going to stop the recording and take questions.
Now's the fun time.
If I could find the stop button.